Hello, today I wanted to talk through the options I pulled for what I would like to read for the month of October. So I've kind of started this different approach to my reading month because my reading style is so chaotic. I really do just pick whatever I want up on a whim. I have decided to, instead of doing a TBR, I will just kind of talk through what I have my eye on and what vibes I want for the month. So obviously October is the spooky month. It is Halloween. We're all excited about it. My yard is decorated. So I have pulled everything off my shelf that I haven't read that is calling to me, that is surrounded in and around and embodies the Halloween season. So let's go through it. So first and foremost, I'm going to talk through a bunch of small mysteries that I've picked up. I need to say right away, I'm not going to go into great detail about the murder mysteries, the thrillers that I've picked up, specifically because I don't really read the backs of thrillers because I've done it before and I've had something spoiled for me. So I really go off of vibes or just chaotically picking something up and going, I'm going to try this. So just be aware, I'm going to go through a lot of titles and tell you nothing about them. So first I have Two Rons by Mel McGrath, Keep Her Close by MJ Ford, The Wives by Tara Fisher, A Narrow Door by Joanne Harris. All I know about Joanne Harris is she wrote Chocolat, which I remember watching when I was really young because my mom was watching it, but I don't remember anything about it. And next we have The Other Misses by Mary Kubica. And last but not least, we have Ruth Ware's The It Girl. This is one I have been holding off reading until the month of October, but I'm very excited about it. I know nothing about it. I know it was the Literally Dead Book Club's pick for the month of September, I want to say, but I held off reading it. I did not join the live show specifically so I could read it for October. So sacrifices were made and I'm really excited. And last but not least, for our kind of general fiction murdery stuff, I have a cozy mystery. I have The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This is one I am officially a third of the way through, a little more than a third of the way through. I'm really enjoying it. Essentially, we are in a seniors town, like a seniors retirement village, and we have the Thursday Murder Club, which is a group of seniors that get together every Thursday to discuss cold files, cold cases, unsolved mysteries, murder mysteries, until a murder happens in their very own village and they decide to get involved. They decide, you know what, we're gonna solve this crime, not on our watch. And I am loving it so far. It is the coziest, cutest little story. It's weird to describe a murder story as cute, but this is so character driven and you will absolutely fall in love with the characters. Really enjoying it thus far. I feel like the mystery, I don't know because it hasn't been revealed yet, but I have an inkling of where it's gonna go. So I'm interested to see if my hunch is right. So that is it for general fiction. Now we're going to move on to spooky fantasies. So first and foremost, I'm gonna talk through the Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. This is one I just received in the mail, an ARC from Orbit, and I'm really excited to give this a go. So Hannah Whitten, I read For the Wolf with my sister-in-law this year or just at the end of last year, and I actually got the ARC for book 2. There's some things it did right and some things that I really didn't like about it, but this one I did say as an author, I wanted to give her another try. I believe For the Wolf was a debut for that author. So I do at some point maybe want to try book 2, but this is one I'm really excited for. She's now gotten her feet under her. She's written a couple of books, so I have high hopes for the Foxglove King. And the tagline is, "Death holds the city, she holds death." And its publishing date is in March, so it's not released for a while, but I'm excited. to see what this author can do now that she's spread her wings a little bit. Oh my goodness, I lied to you. We also have As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. It was just sitting alone with my teen book. So this is book 3 in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I've heard this one gets a fair bit darker than book 1 and 2, which I don't know. The story has really been driven from Pip's perspective, and she's so bouncy and charismatic and cute. I'm interested to see where this is going to go, that it's going to take such a dark turn, and if Pip's character is going to be the same. Now, Pip has been through a lot. She has been through it. So I do think it is about time that we see her personality kind of adapt to those changes that she's had in her life and those sort of traumas that I'm so sure she is dealing with at this point. But I just hope it doesn't lose that sweetness to the story, because even though there was some pretty heavy things that happen in book 1 and 2, there's a sweetness to the story, and it solely comes from Pip and who she is, and I just hope we don't lose it. But I am really excited to finish this trilogy, and I have been waiting for October to do so. Next, we have Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is, I believe, one of Dracula's brides telling her story. And I think it's a queer romance. I don't know. I've heard really great things about it. Next, we have The Bone Orchid by Sarah A. Mueller. This is one that I have heard almost nothing about, to be honest. So the tag is: Charm is a traitor, a witch, a whore, a prisoner, a survivor. Now she must also solve the Emperor's murder. So we are introduced to Charm, and she is called upon the Emperor, and on his sort of his dying wish and dying command for Charm is to determine which of his grandsons should inherit the throne. And she's kind of thrown into that. So I've heard it's really spooky, but a really great time and absolutely perfect for Halloween season. Next, I'm reading The Ballad of Graves by Alex Jennings. This is actually a reread for me. I got an early copy of this for Orbit many months ago at this point, but it's been long enough that I knew as I was reading it, I would want to reread it for Halloween. This is going to be one I pick up close to the end of the month. I had such a great time the first time reading it. So now that I have a proper copy, I am excited to delve back into this world. It's sort of like a bayou fantasy, where it feels so much like Louisiana when I read it. Growing up, my mom's best friend lived in Louisiana. I lived in Louisiana for a short amount of time, and reading this book, it felt like I was there again. I absolutely loved it. So I cannot wait to get back into this story. And if you haven't picked up a hard copy, like, it is such a fun fantasy. I cannot recommend it enough. Next, I have The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. I believe we are following a group of sisters. So we find out that witches once were real, and there might be a resurgence in magic, if I'm understanding correct. This is one, again, that I just want to head right into. I have heard really great things about it. I've heard it is so moody and atmospheric, and early in October is when I would like to read this, because the leaves are changing outside. Everything is like this beautiful orange and red and gold. So I think this is the absolute perfect vibes for that transition between September into October into the spooky season. So it's like light on the spooky. I love anything witches, but is all like atmosphere. And last but not least, I'm just continuing my reread of Babel. So early on, I got an ARC, read it, loved it, gave the ARC to my sister-in-law to read at her own choosing, but obviously I had pre-ordered it also. So my pre-order came in, and I just wanted to read a final copy. I don't know why, but this is one I've just been picking up whenever the mood strikes. I'm only 40 pages in, and I'm just going to read it at my leisure. This is I would call it a historical fiction light fantasy. The magic is really tied to words and language. It is a lot to do with language. It's a lot to do with what we know our F-Quan is familiar with, which is the exploration of colonialism and language and adapting, what it means to belong, what it means to be an immigrant, what it means to move away from your home country early on, and the disintegration of identity when you do that, and what it means to be of a certain ethnicity. There's so much in it. And it's really hard to do an elevator pitch for Babel. I've watched numerous videos of people unpacking what it meant to them or their experience with it, and I have yet to hear a solid elevator pitch for this book. I have sold many a copy. This is my staff pick, and I push it into so many people's hands. I must have sold 50 copies at this point. But I always start off talking about it by saying, I'm not going to pitch it well, but this is probably my favorite book I've read this year. And then I proceed to get them to buy it. And last but not least, I'm also listening via audiobook to Empire of the Vampire. This is one I tried to get through last year. It didn't quite connect with me, but I have the audiobook for it. I'm making my way through it. On my downtimes at work, I'm just putting in my headphones, going through my emails and listening to it. And it really has gotten me in the mood for all of the spooky themes this season. So that is what I plan to read for the month of October. Thank you so much for watching, and look forward to some spookier vlogs.